Keith, I have to say that oftentimes I feel that some religious leaders, some philosophers gloss over the differences among religion, try to make everybody feel good. I'm all for making people feel good. But I feel we compromise reality and truth by looking for a harmony between religions when that does not exist.
Well, it could exist a lot more than it does. I mean, there are a lot of the conflicts between religions are actually because they involve ethnic or nationalist or other problems that get mixed up with religion. But if you look at religions themselves, what they all seem to claim is that we ought to overcome hatred and ought to overcome ego and be united with the reality of compassion. So really, there's no excuse for hatred between religions or violent conflict.
Yeah, I think the hatred can be based upon ethnic problems. We understand that. But I'm talking about core doctrinal differences where they are really opposed to each other, where each one feels that the other is the tool of the devil. And you have this pervasive, not just between major religious groups, but within sects in virtually every religion.
Yeah, I would call that sin or evil. And I think, of course, religions can attract evil people, and evil people can use religion for their own ends. But anybody who talks about some other honestly held opinion as being the spawn of the devil or born of evil is really depraved.
But that's pandemic in religion.
No, I don't think it's pandemic. I think you very rarely find it, as a matter of fact, in the course of human history as a whole. You'll find a lot of people hating other people and sometimes using religious terms to do it. But it's not very common that you'll find religious people actually saying that other religious views than theirs are evil. They might say they're wrong.
Okay, let's start with wrong.
Right.
What do you do when you have such diametric conflict between religions in terms of their core essence? Not the behavior of what people do, but the core essence of their doctrine.
Like what? Like saying there's one loving God and saying there's not? I mean, what?
Yes, or this one's his prophet or that one's his prophet and his only prophet or his primary prophet.
Yeah. The rub comes in that word only.
But everybody uses it.
No, not everybody. I don't use it for a start. And most of the people I know don't use it. And most of the Muslims and Jews and Christians I know wouldn't talk like that. What you're probably putting your finger on is a deep difference between human personalities. That some people tend to think that they've got the only truth and that they're certain of it and that everybody else must be either corrupt or ignorant. But that is a human personality type, which I utterly
I don't think so. I think you can look at the core doctrines of the basic beliefs of the major religions, and they're in diametric conflict.
Yes, they're in conflict, but that doesn't involve saying that they're evil or anything like that, or even ignorance. You just say these are very different views. So I think one of the deepest differences would be whether there is a personal God or not. I can quite happily live with the Buddhist who doesn't think there's a personal God. I don't find that a problem, but I say, of course, they're wrong. I expect them to say that of me, but what I also expect is that we should both say, I respect your honestly held opinion, and actually...
Look, I agree with that,
right,
but I think we're talking about two separate things. One is a social, behavioral relationship. We're human beings in this world, and we got to live together, and we should. I agree with that totally. But I want to talk about the core theology, the core belief system, where if you really believe in what you believe, which I think you do, and I don't quite the same way, you really think I'm wrong.
Yeah, sure.
And in the core teaching of your belief system, I or others won't be necessarily treated very well in the future. Right. Yeah, not for a while, though.
Can I give you a quotation from the papal encyclical Veritatis Splendor, in which the Pope says, the way of the moral life is the way to salvation. In other words, that from a strictly Roman Catholic papal point of view, everybody on earth can be brought into the presence of God by living a moral life.
That's a newer approach of
That's a newer
Catholicism.
approach. That's good.
No, it's good. I'm all for that. My deep wonder, I would have to say, is do they really believe that, or is that just something that has to be said in the modern world?
Well, I suppose you have to divide religions. Sorry. I think you probably have to divide religions into those which are very exclusive of others and those which are inclusive. Mm-hmm. And the exclusive view would say, well, only our lot is going to know God or get saved or be liberated, and the rest have had it. Right? Now, there is that sort of religion.
I think that's the majority.
I wonder how you know that, Robert.
It's just a feeling.
Well, it's not the official view of the Roman Catholic Church, which is the largest single religion in the world. It's not the view of the Buddhists, who are pretty good religion. It's not the view of Hindus, who are millions and millions of religious believers. It's not the view of the Church of England, which, of course, is the only correct church in the world. So, I mean, there's a difference between saying my view is correct and yours is less adequate. There's a difference between that view, which I think is the majority religious view, in fact, and the view that if you don't believe what I believe, you're going to go to hell forever or somewhere nasty. I think that's a very minority view. It just gets a lot of publicity in Arkansas.
Okay, let's grant that, and then go on to the authentication. You at least do say that if we have different religions, you believe yours is the correct one, whoever the you is, and maybe I'll be treated nicely, but you've got the better belief. You're closer to the ultimate accurate understanding than I am, or else you believe what I believe, right?
Yeah.
So you've got closer, and you're going to treat me well, that's fine. But I feel the same way, and so does everyone else. So what methodology do we use if we want to authenticate? I mean, just because I was born the way I was doesn't mean I want to stay that if you've got it and I don't. So how can we progress?
Well, I think it's very important. I think this is, first of all, one of the great problems of the modern world. How do we progress from the very diverse beliefs that we all have? And that is a real problem. And I think the way you do it is, first of all, you don't pretend there's one obviously true view. I don't pretend that. I don't say there is only one obviously true view. I do think that my view is as true as I can make it out, but I also think I'm fallible, and I might have got it wrong. And so I actually think it's a good thing there are people with different views who can challenge me to look at the weak parts of my theory. So point one, you start from where you are. You don't try to get to some other place, what the philosopher Nagel calls a view from nowhere. You say, no, I view things from where I am. So you locate yourself. You say, this is where I am, this is my culture, this is my background, and this is what I've learned. And then you say, I agree there are other perspectives. And so what you then try and do is to say, I will try and look at those other perspectives honestly. I won't stereotype them. I won't ridicule them. I'll try and see what they are. And where they conflict with mine, I'll try to see the reasons for the conflict and whether the conflict can be mediated. In other words, it's going to be a slow, patient business.
That sounds like a full-time job.
It's a full-time job. It is. And what most people should do is to say, I can't do this.
I can't do this.
No. So I'll stay within my own tradition and seek to make it as charitable and compassionate and honest as I can. So I won't say, I've got the only truth. But I will say, well, this is how I see things, and I can't, I'm not going to change my view, but I don't think it's the final truth either. But isn't it the same in morality and politics as well? You just have a view and...
I think it is that way in morality and politics and history. I don't think it's that way in religion.
Well, I don't see why you don't think...
Maybe it should be, but it isn't. The vast majority of people who are at least religious believers within their religion, not the large numbers who are nominally part of the religion, but the people who really believe their religion, I don't think believe it the way you're saying. They really believe that what they have is truth, is the primary truth.
Well, they might. Okay, I mean, I can't speak for all religious believers, but okay, there are different sorts of religious believers, right? It is the same in humanity. You get some people who say abortion is wrong, and I can't live with people who have abortions. You do get people like that, and I'm going to shoot them even, or right? So you do get that, but you get other people who say, I can see this is a difficult area, and I think my view is right, but we've got to somehow work this out.
It's a complicated one, because I think the reason people say that is because of religion.
No? That might be one reason. But I mean, well, take another issue if you want, but you might... What I'm saying is you find yourself in a conflict with somebody else. It doesn't always mean that you're going to stop them doing what they're doing or believing what they're believing. And one of the great advances of human thought, and I think is an advance, is the 18th century Enlightenment. And that is crucial. And it means freedom of conscience, freedom of belief. And that is a strong religious belief. Right? Now, perhaps not all religions share it, but I'm much more confident than you are. I mean, in this church, we have a congregation now. You go around and ask them and say, do you really think everybody's going to hell if they don't come to this church? I don't think you'll find one person who believes that. And this is an evangelical Church of England.
But how do we authenticate? Well, I am not a member of the Anglican Church.
No.
And I would assume most of those people we would talk to would think that that is the best place to be.
No, it's not as easy as that. I mean, why shouldn't you be a Jew if that's what you are? I mean, why shouldn't you be a good Jew? That's what I'd say. I mean, why not be a good whatever you are? And if you happen to be a Christian, be a good Christian. And as the Quran says, God will decide. You follow the way that seems right to you, and God will decide. And I think from a religious point of view, God will decide on reasons of honesty, truth, compassion, and love.
So we do not have the burden, then, of looking at diverse religions and trying to authenticate one or test one against the other.
No, for most people, in the world, they don't choose religions.
Right.
They're in a tradition where there is a religion which is pretty open to them if they want. And then within that religion, they can choose various versions that they might be more or less attracted to. But it's not a matter of open choice. It's just that some things turn you off completely, other things attract you. You can't help it. So again, my religious advice is start from where you are and don't pretend you're not anywhere. Admit you're at a particular place. So I'm an English, male, elderly Christian, and that's what it is.
Not so elderly.
So then you think, well, given that, I'm going to miss out a lot of things that a lot of other people have in this world. Perhaps I can learn from that, but I've still got to start from where I am. Now, you may say, not many religious people believe that. I just suggest that more than you might think, that, the intolerant people filled with hatred get all the headlines. Of course they do. I mean, tolerance is not an exciting topic, but I reckon huge numbers of religious people are actually just admitting to ignorance about the general full truth.
I'm sure you're right about that. But again, the doctrine that those religions teach, if you look at many of the fundamental facts, do contradict each other.
Yeah, there are contradictions. But you see, the point I would make there is that's a good thing. I like contradictions. I like there being contradictions. I like the fact that I believe in a Trinity, and lots of other people don't. I think that's great.
Yeah, I don't.
Good. But I mean, so what's good about it? Well, what's good about it is that I would want to know what is it about the Trinity that makes you not like it or think it's wrong, and that will lead me to reflect on the way I'm putting it to see what might be wrong about it. This actually comes from John Stuart Mill. It's great. This shows I'm British. I picked John Stuart Mill. And John Stuart Mill is somebody who said, the only way to get to truth is by argument. Well, Plato said it earlier, of course, dialectic. So if you're going to have a dialectic, you've got to start from different positions and be honest about what your position is, and then say, well, seeing it from here, how can I extend my view by acknowledging there are other positions as well? Now, why shouldn't the religions do that? If you want, I don't care about the past history of religion. I want to see religion, like science, developing into an area of contested compassionate search for truth.
I support that.